Hi, my name is Sophia Welsh, and I am applying for the Youth Services Librarian position at the Oak Lawn Public Library. My project proposal is one that focuses on our child patrons with special needs and their families. According to Oak Lawn Library's strategic plan, one of their main goals listed was to focus on individuals with special needs. And according to the Center of Disease Control, 1 in 59 children are diagnosed with autism, and 1 in every 6 children have some type of developmental disability. So children with special needs are pretty common, and so it makes sense that the library is dedicated to serving those patrons. The project that I'm proposing would put even more focus on those patrons specifically by offering different programs and spaces within the library. There are two main visions and goals for this project. The first one involves more programming for children with special needs and their families. One of the main programs that I wish to expand upon in this project are more sensory and special needs story times. Story times are a big part of libraries. They give kids the opportunity to listen to books and to play and to have lots of developmental learning experiences. But it can be difficult for children with special needs to fit in if the right accommodations are not made and they are not thought of in the planning process. So the project that I'm proposing would offer more sensory story times and would accommodate the sensory needs of different children and the mobility needs of different children with different disabilities and different special needs. Currently, the Oak Lawn Library has one sensory story time a month on Sundays. My proposal will offer more than just the one a month, doing anywhere between 4 a month or more if popularity and demand requires it. And they will be at varying times of the day, such as morning shifts for stay-at-home moms or evening shifts on weekdays for working families. The second main program this project proposes is networking programs. Now these networking programs would be more like playtime. It would be open playtime scheduled specifically marketed for families of children with special needs. The children would be able to have a free playtime with toys appropriate for their needs and encouraged to socialize with each other. Meanwhile, the families and caregivers can take this time to network. It can be very difficult for families of children with special needs to find other families in their position. So this is a great way for them to network and feel that they have a comfortable, safe space to do so. The second vision of this project is creating a calm space or a sensory calm space in the youth services department. Now this space would be separate from the main play area that the library currently has. In order for it to be a calmer, quieter location for children who may have too much sensory input, may feel the need to calm down if they are frustrated or there are too many people around or simply need a quiet space to calm down. So it would be placed in a different part of the library. It would be somewhat closed off, not too closed off so that it can still be monitored by a staff member, but somewhat closed off with a bookshelf or artificial small pop-up walls. Inside would be a soft chair or couch for a child to be able to sit and take a deep breath. And it would be designed for just one child, so many children wouldn't be able to go and play in there. There is space for an adult as well. This space would also be large enough to accommodate a standard size wheelchair for children with specific mobility needs. In the sensory space, there will be books, fidget toys, or soft sensory toys for the children to squeeze or to play with while they're in that space if they feel the need to. There are a handful of steps in the planning stages that are all crucial to performing a successful and thoughtful project. The first would be having team meetings, of course. Now, who is part of the team? The team would involve the entirety of the Youth Services Department, including the head of Youth Services. It is crucial that everyone in Youth Services is on the same page with this project in order to be helpful and thoughtful to our patrons and the families of children with special needs when they come in. Now, while not every single person may be running a sensory story time, it is important that everybody knows what's going on for things such as the calm space. The calm space should be monitored by a staff member in Youth Services at all times. They don't need to be standing over it, but if it is constructed within eyesight of the desk, they need to be able to see it to make sure that a child doesn't go in there and needs assistance. If children don't go in there to take advantage of it and it is actually being used for the appropriate reasons, as well as keeping tally for our own data purposes. Team meetings, we would discuss how it would work for the library, scheduling, what kind of space we have, what kind of materials we have, and what type of resources we're going to need, and who feels comfortable performing these, and maybe what type of education we would need to pursue and research on our own time we would need to pursue. The second and very crucial part of the planning stage is family interviews. Now, we are serving the families of children with special needs, and we all know that every single child is different, including children with special needs. No two children with special needs are going to be exactly the same, and their needs are going to be different. So it is important to get local families to come in so we can interview these parents, interview these caregivers, and ask them what kind of accommodations they would like to see at the library. What kinds of things frustrate them when they go to libraries and they wish that they had more accommodations for? How can their children feel comfortable at the library? What types of things in a sensory story time would make them feel included and have a good time and be enjoyable? Because it's really for the children to have a good time and feel like they have a place. And we would also ask things like scheduling, what types of days work, what is most common, is our community a working community, weekends, mornings for stay-at-home families, things like that. After we have taken all of this input, we would meet again as a team and consider what days work best. Hopefully we would have more than one day a week, such as one weekend and one weekday, varying times such as a morning and an evening session, and as well as what types of accommodations and mobility needs. Not just about children with intellectual disabilities, but it could be a mobility aspect, things with wheelchairs. Do we have an accessible, movable library? After we've taken all this into consideration through the family interviews and through the team meetings, we would also consult other professionals such as pediatricians, teachers, special ed teachers, and websites like Library and Autism, which provide a plethora of resources for libraries to incorporate into their libraries. The budget for this project is pretty open. I currently made a budget of about $900, but this can vary depending on what resources the library already has. We would need some type of furniture for the calm space, such as a soft couch. It does not have to be exactly the type in the picture, it is just an example, but a soft area for the child to sit and calm down. We may use a bookshelf as a temporary wall, or we may even be able to buy a small pop-up wall. Now, toys would go in the calm space. They could be plush toys, fidget toys, things that the kids may squeeze or play with to calm down, as well as gross motor or fine motor toys for our networking programs for the children to play with while the parents interact with each other. After dates and spaces are created, we would market. We would market through the online newsletter, the paper newsletter that goes out to the community, and create flyers. Flyers would be posted in all the bulletin boards in our library, handed out to patrons by hand. They would go to the local school districts, as well as specifically focusing on the special need classrooms in those districts. They would be put up at local pediatrician offices and any other local organizations that are involved with children with special needs. After everything is decided through team meetings and family interviews and everything has been marketed, it is time to put it all into action. The programs would go live and the calm space would be open to the public. We would start taking data on attendance of these programs. Now, I would give it a few months because in the beginning it may take some time for the marketing to get out there and the attendance to build up. But it is important to take consistent data to see how the attendance is improving, if it is going up, if it is stagnating, if there is no one coming after a few weeks or a few months. So that's why it's important to take data on attendance, as well as data on how often the calm space is being used. Now, the calm space is more of an open, passive thing, so it does not need to be used every day, but it is important for us to keep an eye and see if it is being utilized and is being utilized for the right purposes. Are children using it to calm down, if they have sensory needs, versus children just going in out of interest? At every program, the networking and the story times, or whatever other programs we may decide, it is important that we have surveys, especially in those beginning stages, to give to the families. Survey questions would ask things like, how was your experience today? Would you recommend this to another family? Would you come back? How can we do better? How can we do better is always a really great, important question so we can understand how we can improve the next time. And we would constantly take those surveys every single time and offer them to parents. as well as having ongoing comment cards at the youth services desk for any parents who feel that they want to put a little input in. The project team will continue to meet up. There will be a 3 or 4 month check-in based on how long it takes for the setup. After programs start, we will conduct family interviews again with families we interviewed in the beginning, as well as new families, to see how we did, how they felt we are meeting their needs. We'll have consistent team meetings to talk about how we feel, if we feel comfortable, if there are things that we need to change. We will take all the input that we get from surveys and family interviews and make adjustments as needed. Children with special needs are never going to go away, and they are an important part of our community and our lives. So this is an ongoing forever project. So we were always open to adjustments and open to changes. It is not something that has a deadline. It is really forever, and it is a happy and proud journey to go on. So we will continue to have monthly check-ins for as long as this program goes on. At this point, I will take any comments or questions. Thank you for your time in listening to this project. Children with special needs and their families are a crucial part of our community and any community, so I hope that we can work together to create a meaningful and beautiful library experience for those patrons.